Sousa Show. Sports.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at Ulike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. Ulike. With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AMP-Pace.
AMP-Pace.
We are back, and we are better than ever. It is the Pete Sousa Show, coming to you live in Flower Mound, Texas, the home of the satellite office here in the DFW. Of course, I'm Pete Sousa, Scotty Swingler back in the home office on the wheels of steel back there. And, of course, I talked to Ray from Slovacics yesterday. We are presented by Slovacics. I may be headed out there to West later this week to just hand Ray a new contract. He wants a hard copy. He is old school, and our partnership will continue. But Ray wants the copy. He wants the hard copy, which I love, almost as much as the kolaches at Slovacics. So if you're looking for a good pit stop on 35, make sure you stop at Slovacics. Of course, Socorro Family Ford. If you're looking for a car, dip your toe in the water. Both of these companies, by the way, in West Texas. Cannot forget Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, Extraco Bank, First National Bank of Central Texas, and Crawford Austin Properties. A couple other new sponsors may be coming into the fray. We are excited about that. We will have Will Herring, former Auburn superstar and NFL veteran. He is now the Auburn Tigers sideline analyst for their radio broadcast. So nobody better to start to dig into this Auburn-Baylor matchup that is now, 18 days away. No, 17 days away because it's a Friday night. So we are 17 days away from kickoff at McLean Stadium in front of a ravenous Baylor contingent. Auburn's still favored in that game, which is a surprise to me. I was checking. I've done a bunch of shows. I was away in Long Island with my family, but did a couple of, I did a radio show in Salt Lake City, and I did All In Horns with our boy Tanner Carlson and his co-host Jake, and we were talking about top 25 matchups in the SEC, who's good, who's not, all that kind of stuff. And we got into the fact that Auburn is favored in that game, and that's a surprise. It's a surprise to me, at least. And I think it'll be a surprise to Auburn when Baylor lays it on them in week one. But that's a guy with ties to Baylor. We're going to hear from Will Herring in a little bit about Auburn. But I want to start off with, hey, where else, right? The Dallas Cowboys. Last night, the blue carpet premiere of the new Cowboys Netflix special. And it's quite fascinating how once again now Jerry Jones has found a way to spin this drama with Micah Parsons, this dysfunction with Micah Parsons, into somehow an alluring drama, like this is a primetime TV show or some kind of reality show. Last night on that blue carpet at that premiere out in California, by the way, Micah Parsons was in attendance for that premiere, which to me is a whole nother side of this thing that we'll get into in a second. But I want to stick with Jerry here. His comments last night, Michael Irvin was there, Emmitt Smith was there, obviously Dak was there. It was a who's who of Cowboys history. And Jerry mentions, which I think is a quote in the documentary, that the Cowboys are a soap opera 365 days a year. And I'm paraphrasing, but at some point he talks about the fact that they will create buzz if none is there. And that's a whole part of the package. Now, that's exciting, right? And for idiots like me, it is so perfect that someone like me, who for so long was attracted to members of the opposite sex for all the wrong reasons, right? I found myself in dysfunctional relationship after dysfunctional relationship, right? Now I find myself in a wonderful relationship that still has that zazazoo, as they say on Sex and the City. So I feel like I got it all, right? But for a long while, I was attracted to maybe projects, exciting projects, people with problems, bright, shiny objects, right? With no real depth, okay? And no real chance of crossing the finish line, right? And winning life's ultimate Super Bowl with a partner. Because these things were exciting and fascinating to me, right? A mystery, a great mystery. The Cowboys are that great mystery. They are that dysfunctional partner that you can't take your eyes off of. And you're always thinking, man, maybe we can make it work. There's got to be a way that we can make it work. Because when I look on paper and I see the production, numbers wise, financially for the Cowboys, right? Or maybe measurables for a member of the opposite sex, or their career or their personality or whatever, I got to make this work. Look, dude, until you change, right? Until the Cowboys change, till their focus is on being a well-rounded organization that is focused on the right things, not focused on creating drama and being a soap opera, then we'll be able to talk about the Cowboys as legitimate Super Bowl contenders. For now, we get to talk about how awesome this documentary is going to be. And it is going to be awesome. And I can't wait to watch it. That Cowboys dynasty was very important to people like me. It was right in the prime time of my life. It was important for the NFL. It brought the Cowboys back, right? America's team was once again America's team. And that was very good for business, good for the NFL, good for fans like me. You know, I'm a super fan of the Eagles. So the Cowboys wearing the black hat, being the bad guy, even got me more interested. I mean, there was a time where I hated the Cowboys so much. I'll tell you a story about myself, and I'm not proud of this. When I was in college, I was a diehard Eagles fan. Obviously, like I said, I was a football player at the University of Richmond, so I was a musclehead. I was also an alcoholic. I've been sober for a long time now, so I'm not proud of some of the things I did. We were at a party once in Conshohocken, kind of a suburb of Philadelphia. I was home for Christmas break. I had a friend, Matt Rosado, who was a complete pretender as a Cowboys fan. The following day, after this party in Conshohocken, where we were getting drunk and God knows what else, the Eagles were playing the Cowboys in a playoff game. Matt Rosado had a knit cap, you know, was over here a little bit ago, but you know, one of those knit caps you'd put on. And I can remember getting Rosado's knit. It was a Cowboys hat, right? He was a big Cowboys fan. It was left on the deck. I took it, threw it down, and urinated on this guy's hat and didn't tell him. Okay. Like, not something I'm proud of doing, but that's a window into the vicious intensity I had of hating the Cowboys, right? Because they were so good. I don't have that hate anymore. I mean, I talk to you guys all the time about the fact that, like, I'm like, hey, the Cowboys, like, I respect them. They're cool. They're neat. I like watching them at 4:00. It is like a drama, but it's not dangerous. Jerry Jones, when are you going to be dangerous again? So, and the last thing I'll say about the Cowboys before I want to get a quick note in about Shedeur Sanders before we bring Auburn great Will Herring in, is that Micah Parsons was at this blue carpet premiere. Like, dude, what are you doing? Are you holding out or are you not? Like, if you're really holding out, if you really want to trade, then stay away from all the shiny, glamorous things that the Cowboys bring. Because it's very clear that, once again, you're being seduced by the star, by America's team, by Jerry Jones, by the glitz and the glamour. It's okay, Micah, for idiots like me to get seduced by this because I don't have any skin in the game. You're trying to get paid. You're trying to make a statement. And it's clear that you're nowhere near leaving the Cowboys. Your presence at that event last night says to me everything I need to know about your negotiation and whether or not you're going to be a Cowboy on September 4th when they play the Eagles. You will be. And I don't even know how good your deal is going to be, dude, because let me move down here. I kind of screwed my camera up. That was a negotiating mistake that you made. So Micah Parsons being there is hilarious to me. And that's exactly what the Cowboys are all about. Shedeur Sanders, 4th on the depth chart after a hell of a performance over the weekend, right? In that preseason game. Doesn't mean anything. So let's not get wrapped up in that. They're going to play the Eagles this weekend. They're actually having scrimmages with the Eagles over the next few days. I know a little something about Kevin Stefanski because I'm from Philly. I used to work for his dad when his dad was the GM of the 76ers. Ed Stefanski, great man. And Kevin Stefanski gives his ones and twos the majority of the reps in practices and in these scrimmages, right? So it's likely the Browns will see a lot of Joe Flacco tomorrow. In the preseason game, when they play the Eagles, in the actual game, we'll see more Shedeur. We'll see more Dillon Gabriel. You would hope that Shedeur Sanders will get more reps with the ones and twos, right? But I think that'll happen after this weekend because here's what's going to happen this weekend. And I don't make predictions very often, but I'm going to make one here because it's not so much of a prediction as it is a fact. Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel are going to get the Lions' share of snaps in this preseason game against Philadelphia for the Browns. And Shedeur Sanders is going to outplay Dylan Gabriel in a sense of this. And in this sense, I want to say. Shedeur passed the eye test with flying colors on Friday night at Carolina. I watched the whole game. And if there was one thing the dude looked like, he looked like a comfortable NFL quarterback that knew exactly what the hell he was doing. A lot of times in the preseason, even with the highest of high-profile draft picks, we don't see that, dude. We don't see that. And it's not as though he wasn't under pressure. You know, there was one moment where Shedeur, and he probably made a mistake by escaping the pocket and just keeping the play alive for too long. But there was a scramble. He was outside of the pocket. This is the NFL now, and he was playing against 2s and 1s at some points during the game, and nobody could catch him. And Shedeur is not like that fast, but it was very clear to me that this guy's got like the quickness, what it takes to escape the pocket and to escape these amazingly talented, huge men that are playing in the NFL. He also showed it with his arm. He showed it with his head. And I thought it was hilarious, the interaction he had with Tony Grossi, local Cleveland sports radio host afterwards. I take offense to the fact, if I'm Shedeur, that Colin Cowherd was saying yesterday that Shedeur needs to focus more on the field and not worry about Tony Grossi. I thought their interaction after the game was hilarious. I think it shows that Shedeur has a great sense of humor and that he's an overall good dude. Don't worry about the depth chart. It's going to take care of itself on the field. The Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovacics. We're stepping aside. We are coming back with Auburn great and current Auburn sideline analyst Will Herring. We're going to talk about Baylor and Auburn. We're going to talk about exactly what Auburn has coming into that game and talk a little bit about Will's life. He's an amazing guy, and I'm really looking forward to chatting with him. Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovacics. Back after this break.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. That's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down to afterwards, was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning. So we love Extraco.
I don't know, if Bubble wasn't here, I don't know what people would be doing, like making PowerPoints or something. Bubble allows you to make it real and for it to actually work. So I feel like Bubble bridges that gap and being able to give people the opportunity to make their ideas come to life really quickly too. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built and have the control over it.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're gonna use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it a trusted partner in the journey towards financial stability.
All right, the Pete Sousa Show is back. Hold on, let me fix my camera a little bit, Scotty, before we bring my man Will in. I see Will in the car off camera, and I mean, he's going to look good because he's Will Herring. I know that. So I want to look good so I can be up to the standard. There we go. We're framed a little better. All right, let's bring my man Will Herring in. Auburn great, former NFLer, now Auburn sideline analyst. Will, man, we appreciate you making the time. I know you're on the move right now. You got some important stuff going on, so thank you very much.
Absolutely, Pete. Thank you for having me on, buddy. Excited about the season. I will say I'm passing the baton to my former teammate, Brett Edens, another defensive guy I played with. You know, with 4 kids, 3 of the 4 daughters, man, last year I missed a soccer game or 2. And so I'm passing the torch. I am going to be in Texas for the Baylor game. I'm looking forward to going as a fan. Yeah, I got one of my old teammates is a Baylor guy, so I'm trying to pull some strings and get down on the field. But I'm not going to be. I may go give Andy and Ronnie B a hard time if I can heckle them a little bit. Those are my radio guys. It was a blast, man. I loved doing it for 2 years. A lot of fun going on the road, getting to see some cool places that I'd never been to. But right now, full-time mortgage lender, full-time dad, and but yeah, excited about the season.
Well, quick follow-up. Who's your friend, your buddy from Baylor that you played with?
Joe Pavelic. Pavelic. We call him Joe Pa. Does that name, you know Joe Pa?
Yeah, I know who he is. And Scotty back in the studio in Waco was losing his mind. He knows him very well. I could tell.
I talked to Joe Pa yesterday, and he's doing great. I think he lives in the San Antonio area now with his family. But yeah, Joe Pa was the man. When he was a dear friend. So my 4th year in Seattle, he was a rookie, and just a great teammate. We actually lived together. So my wife and I, like, his lease ran out towards the end of the season. I mean, I don't know who signs a lease in an apartment that doesn't go through the entire season, but evidently Joe Pa does. And so he was homeless for like a month. All right. And after we spent a month, two married couples under one roof in a 1,346 square foot house, like, that was all I wanted of Joe Pa. But I do still love him and looking forward to seeing him and his wife.
I got one question for you personal before we jump into the football stuff. I used to work at a news station, and one of my missions was to help get young kids in foster homes adopted. What you and your wife have done with adoption, and people just look it up, check it out. It's an inspiration, and I just want to say thank you, because it's really special, unique work. What's the number one thing you've gotten out of your work and adopting?
Pete, my wife, I can take my sunglasses off because we're driving through the rain. My wife, Ashley, just when we were dating in college, the Lord put it on her heart to adopt, and so that's something we got married, expecting like, to have a few kids and then to adopt one or two on the back end. And the Lord had different plans. We struggled to get pregnant after we'd been married a little over a year. And so we just got the ball rolling on the adoption front, and the Lord just opened up, just kicked some doors wide open. And 4 or 5 months later, we had our first baby girl. Then we had our second child, just the old fashioned way. And since then we just felt called to adopt. And so, but one thing that I've taken away probably more than anything is just how there's no difference. It's hard to wrap your head around it if you've not experienced it. But being a believer in faith, being a follower of Jesus, the Bible talks about being grafted into the family of God. The Israelites, the Jewish nation were the people of God, and they still are the Lord's people. But we as believers, through the blood of Jesus and putting our faith in Him, we've been grafted in, and He loves us and calls us His children. And so, in the same way, adoption is the same way. I mean, there's no difference between Maddie and Isaiah and Daisy. Those are the three adopted, and then Reese is our biological daughter. But they're all our children, and we love them all. And we would, just like you would for your kids, we'd lay our lives down for our kids, and just love them to death.
Oh, awesome story. I had to touch on that with you. I couldn't waste the opportunity. All right, I want to talk to you about Auburn football now. Okay. Jackson Arnold, coming over, taking a huge job and another opportunity, right, to play for Auburn. What is the pressure like around him this season, and on Hugh Freeze for that matter, to get it right for the Tigers? This is a perennial program. I grew up watching the Iron Bowl, and just Auburn's out of this world, right? How heavy is basically what they're carrying right now?
I mean, it's a head coach, athletic director, quarterback. I mean, you're one of the most loved people in the state of Alabama, or the most disliked. It is a high pressure job, but those three positions, and yeah, I mean, there's I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like there's not a ton of pressure riding on this season. I love Coach Freeze, the man he is, the husband, the coach he is to these boys. He's done a phenomenal job building a roster. And it's lacked a few things here and there, that we lost some really close games in the last few years, that if we're 7 points better, or if we hit a few field goals here and there, we're looking at a totally different outcome to several games in the last few seasons. And so this is the third year we have a much better roster. If we can find a quarterback to distribute the ball, keep a balanced attack, we've got some weapons on the outside that can catch the ball, that can get open down the field, that can get behind the defense. I mean, I've been to one practice this year. I was talking to Jason Campbell the other day, and this offensive line of ours is thought very highly of by the NFL scouts. And so, if you can run the football, and if you got a quarterback that can hurt you a little bit with his legs, and you got the weapons, you just got to get on the ball. And so I'm very optimistic. I've heard mixed reviews. It sounds like as good as, we're very hopeful on the offensive side. Our defense, I think, has had the upper hand so far in camp, which is being a defensive guy. I kind of chuckle, and that's kind of what I expect, because you go against these guys every day, and offense a lot of times is more schematic and scheming up, preparing for the defense that you're going to go against. Whereas, right now Auburn's going to, you're being more vanilla, just working on the basics, the basic concepts, route concepts, running concepts. And so defense should have the upper hand, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see offensively how we do.
A guy like you, who's been around the program for so long and has ties to it, you learn more at one practice than I think some members of the media will learn all summer camp. Did you glean from that one practice and some of the conversations you had that Auburn this year will be a run-heavy team because that's a strength behind that, like you said, retooled and revamped offensive line.
You know, the second practice and the third practice is so much more insightful than me going to the first, because the first time I show up, I'm like getting a hug from Dr. Goodlett or from Rich McGlynn or from all these people that I've known for a decade and a half, and several of them are still in the building. I had my son Isaiah, so we were over there on the sled, punching the sled, and so I wish I could say that I was out there standing next to because there were several NFL scouts there. Their job is to evaluate. My job was just to go out there and have a good time with my 10-year-old, and to just enjoy catching up with some folks. Man, this offensive line, they look good. They look good in pads. They're. I mean, it's an SEC. It's a Georgia caliber offensive line, and if you can get your running back going to the second level before he's checking up, I mean that's where Alabama and Georgia's success has lied in the last 5 years for Georgia's 5 or 6, 7 years for Georgia, and 10 or 15 for Alabama. They build it from the ground up, and so. But to say, is it going to be a run heavy pass? Man, I think that's hard to say, because on paper we've got a better wide receiving core than running backs. We've got Damari Austin, but besides him, we don't have a ton of experience. Jeremiah Cobb has shown flashes, versatile guy in the backfield that can catch as well as run. But we also got a young buck from Elba who set all sorts of Alabama state records. So don't know much about him. He's young. What's the learning curve going to be like for him? So I don't necessarily think we're going to be a run heavy team. We've got probably a little more experience at the wide receiver, a little more upside at the wide receiver position. So it'll be interesting to see.
All right, one last question for you before I let you out of here. You have great experience, obviously, in the NFL, and I want you to lean on your Auburn experience here. You have as a player, you're looking at this SEC schedule and you're like, man, this is going to be a meat grinder. But then you start the season off with a formidable opponent like a Baylor. Where's the mindset like for a young man at Auburn who knows that SEC season is right around the corner, but you've got to focus on another big game against another Power 4 conference in the opening week on the road on a Friday night? What's the mindset like?
Yeah, I mean, camp is they don't physically maybe get after it like we did, 15, 20 years ago, but it's still training camp. It's still a grind, and I would imagine that they look at, you show up to camp that first day and you're like, we got a month of camp ahead of us, but having a formidable opponent in that opening week, I love that. Even if it's not a top 5 or top 10 program, it does give you something to set your sights on. For us, we played Washington State one year, and they were a West Coast team, a Pac-10 team, and we didn't really know what we were getting into, but we knew they were a legitimate program in a totally different part of the country. And by the end of the camp, let's face it, you're tired of like headbutting the same guy every day, and you're just ready to go hit somebody with another color uniform on. And so, this team will learn a lot after the first game on Friday. I do love that we're playing a formidable opponent. Then we got a couple lesser opponents, and then after that, it's hey, let's get into it. We got Oklahoma and A&M on the road, and we're going to be into the gauntlet of the SEC schedule at that point.
Will Herring, man, amazing dude off the field, great player on it in the NFL and at Auburn. Thank you so much for taking the time with us today.
Absolutely, Pete. Thank you, buddy. War Eagle.
All right, man. You got it. We'll see you down the road. That was Will Herring, and that was an amazing interview and a great dude right there. And I'm telling you that stuff about adoption, that just spoke to my heart, so I had to ask him about it. So all you football junkies, step aside. All right, that was one for me. We got one for Scotty coming back on the other side of this break. We're digging into the top 25. Scotty Swingler, Pete Sousa, college football. Slovacics, thank you. We'll be right back.
Did you know nearly all stock price changes of 10% or more result from a single news headline? These news catalysts create trading opportunities every day. All you need is a little help to reach out and take them. It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
AusleyMD.com. I've always had thin hair my whole life. It breaks off at a certain length. In the last 6 months, I've noticed it just really bad. I mean, you could totally see it. I wear a hat a lot. I tried several different products. My experience with the Bosley MD hair regrowth kit was amazing. It was easy to use. It let me take off my hat. I could go in public and have my picture taken and feel normal again. AusleyMD.com.
Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Join us at golfpartnerusa.com and discover why we're the trusted choice for golf lovers worldwide. That's GOLFPARTNERUSA.com. Golf Partner.
Since 2003, Bluehost has been empowering people to harness their brands online with innovative web hosting solutions. Trusted by over 2 million users, we're the longest-running WordPress.org recommended host. With Bluehost, you get a safer, better web experience, supported by the world's most popular site builder, and backed by our commitment to open source projects. Visit Bluehost.com today and take your website to the next level.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internex. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internex.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Apollo Neuro is a new kind of wearable that helps your body recover from stress. It's like a wearable hug for your nervous system that helps you calm down and feel better. The Apollo wearable will send gentle vibrations to your body, like a song you can feel instead of hear. You feel better, you sleep better, and you can get back to being yourself. Learn more at apolloneuro.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Elevate your experience with Grenco Science, the leaders in cutting-edge vaporizers. Whether you're at home or on the go, our sleek, powerful devices deliver smooth, consistent hits every time. Quality you can trust, innovation you can feel. Grenco Science. Take your vapor game to the next level. Visit us at GrencoScience.com.
It all began with a simple idea, cutting handles off old ski sticks to create better pull-up bars. This sparked the creation of the revolutionary Angles 90 handles. After testing over 70 prototypes with 300 athletes, our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Angles90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Sousa Show returns. I'm trying to get myself. Scotty, I'm sorry. Scotty's probably so pissed at me. I got to figure out this like setup here, right? Scotty, what do you think? I mean, do I have too much headroom? Come on in. Yeah, I do. Let me
too much headroom, and you're like off to the side, buddy.
Should I move? Okay.
You need to be center. Yeah, there we go. Center stage, Pete Sousa.
Yeah, okay, my bad. So, first of all, where else can you talk about urinating on a Cowboys hat in Block A, and then 3 minutes later, you're talking about how the Lord can inspire you to do good and change lives and adopt, and you're authentic about both. That guy Will Herring was awesome, dude. Awesome.
Yeah, only on the Pete Sousa show. This microphone arm, you see we replaced this because that other one was broken. It keeps floating up on me. Watch this.
It's a ghost of Mike. It's a ghost of Mike Hamilton.
That's right. I'm going to turn this around real quick, so even if it floats up, you can still hear me.
Hey, what the hell is Mike talking about on Facebook? What's happening?
I'm not on Facebook, Pete.
Thank God. He has got an issue with a woman, and I think it's family related. But he's gone there.
He's posting it all over Facebook.
Oh yeah. So Mike,
buddy, I don't know that I want to get into that.
No, we're not going to get into that. We're going to get into the top 25.
Yes, please.
I have a lot of thoughts, bro. Let's bring it up. And I was not surprised at all. I'm actually encouraged because, as I mentioned off the top of the show, I was on with those dudes from All In Longhorns. They're on the Rogue Media Network, by the way. Check them out. They do a great job. But I was on with them Sunday. The show's actually up today, I think, so check it out. But I had Texas as my number one team, and it wasn't just because I was talking to two dudes who do a Longhorns pod. I feel like they're the best team in the country. So I'm fine with that number one. I mean, I think Texas only got better. I really do. I mean, I know they lost folks and new guys coming in via transfer, but I believe that the quarterbacking situation couldn't be any better, and the coaching situation couldn't be any better, and their defense is the lights out. So I have no issue with that. Mr.
Yeah,
Slinger.
I heard some stat, and I think I heard it on the Cowherd show as well. I heard you quote Cowherd earlier about Shedeur.
I'm pissed at him, yeah.
That something like only once out of the last 12 years has the preseason number one team won the national championship. However, in that same span, it's always been a top 6 preseason team that's won it. So if those statistics hold true, then it will not be Texas, but it will be Penn State, Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, or Notre Dame who will win the national championship again this year. Of course, statistics are meant to change. Records are meant to be broken. But I found that really compelling. I don't know, man. I don't have a problem with Texas at 1. I'm with you.
What's your biggest problem?
Texas A&M is ranked.
Dude, our boy Samuel Holtz. Our boy Samuel Holtz, who's new to the show, man, in the chat, this is what he says. Hold on, let me bring him up here because he agrees. I live in College Station. Texas A&M is way too high. They're dropping a lot of passes and practices. I believe Scotty retweeted a photo.
I should. Yeah. I tweeted that video of Marcel Reed unable to complete a deep ball on air. Yeah, dude, A&M is just a perpetual. They remind me of Texas Tech. I feel like A&M and Texas Tech do this. Tech more recently, A&M throughout their history. We get all excited for 8 wins, and I just think that's where they're going. Yeah, to me, Pete, Michigan and Oklahoma and Texas A&M, all 3 are on here more for the brand than what they are actually going to put on the football field. That doesn't mean that they're all not going to end up being top 25 teams, but I don't see any reason why, based on what happened last season or the offseason, Michigan, Oklahoma, and A&M should be rated so high. I think that's brand bias. I was happy to see Indiana at 20. I told you they're going to be good again. Watch out for Illinois at 12. Yeah. They're getting a lot of love here. Luke Altmaier, obviously a great quarterback. And then I found this interesting. There's only 4 Big 12 teams in that top 25, but the first 3 out are all Big 12 teams. If you look at that others receiving votes, you've got BYU, Utah, and Baylor right there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's no consolation prize in football, right? It is what it is. But you could look at this as, oh, man, only 4 Big 12 teams are in the top 25. But you could also say, man, 7 Big 12 teams are in the top 28. according to voters right now. And I think that speaks to what you and I have talked about all offseason, the depth and the chaos of this Big 12 conference, that anybody can win it, that anybody can beat anybody. And, of course, Colorado and TCU a little further down that list receiving votes as well.
I have a theory on the Big 12 this year, and I'm interested to see how it plays out. I think it's quite possible that the quarterback play is really going to be important for this conference because there's a ton of attention on these great quarterbacks that are returning, and we're looking from a unique season from Big 12 quarterbacks, and it's sexy and it's drawing a lot of eyeballs. And if those quarterbacks can deliver and make the Big 12 one of the conferences that people are talking about, right? I believe this. I believe that could push maybe a third team into the college football playoff, can give the conference a little bit more juice to everyone involved in creating these polls and obviously creating the 12-team playoff race. I think that can really help. So these quarterbacks, they need to deliver this year. They really do. And I think if they do, it can really raise the standard and the standing of the conference. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think I'm totally out of my mind or do you do?
Yeah. Disclaimer to steelman your argument here a little bit. What the AP voters think doesn't matter at all. What matters is that college football playoff committee. And remember, the guy chairing that committee this year is one Mac Rhodes of Baylor University. So I know that doesn't actually help you. Mac's a professional, but what they think matters. Here's where I think you're crazy. I think I told you last week I struggle to see two Big 12 teams getting in just because I think this conference is just going to poach each other. There's going to be upsets every week. They're going to eat. Everybody's going to eat everybody alive. Like I think the Big 12 champion very likely has 2 or 3 losses, and it's just hard for me to see two teams from the Big 12 with 2 or 3 losses sneaking in. We've talked about a couple scenarios where that might be feasible. So 3 teams seems crazy. Here's the other reason that seems crazy. If getting into the playoff was about star power of an individual, then Colorado gets in last year. You had the Heisman winner and a Heisman finalist at quarterback with Sanders. You get the viewers on TV if you get Colorado in the playoff. They didn't earn it. I don't think the committee is going to value a sexy quarterback on a 3-loss team over an SEC team with 2 losses or a Big Ten team with 3 losses at the end of the day. I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, what I'm hopeful of is that it's not necessarily about one team and one quarterback. It's about the entire conference just getting a lot more shine this year.
I hope that's true.
And the entire conference being looked at in a different light. Because I think the Big 12 is head and shoulders beyond the ACC. There's quite a drop-off from the SEC to the Big 10 to the Big 12. That's what most experts think. However, I looked last year at that Arizona State-Texas game, and they were a ball bounce away, Arizona State, from advancing. And now Texas is the number 1 team in the country and almost won the national championship.
But here's what you're arguing for. I don't think anybody disputes that the Big 12 champion most years can compete with any team from any conference. I think
you and I talk about the depth all the time. I think that, and this is my hope, just to jump in real quick.
So let me push back, though.
Okay.
Iowa State, in the manner in which they lost the Big 12 championship game, did not look like they belonged in the college football playoff last year.
Yes.
Colorado, probably, if the Big 12 was going to sneak 3 teams in last year, Fantasyland, Iowa State probably gets in for being the runner-up. And then Colorado's probably that 3rd team just because of their record and their star power. And Colorado got washed in their bowl game against another team from the conference. So that just doesn't help.
And by the way, to your point, Colorado played everybody in that game too. So it wasn't like one of those mail-ins. Yeah.
So like the Big 12 just does not have much of a leg to stand on. I agree with you. The Big 12 champion, whoever emerges from this conference, Baylor, Arizona State, Iowa State, Tech, whoever it is going to have a shot to make the Final Four. Like they're not just going to make the playoff. They're going to have a shot to win a couple games in the playoff. Absolutely. But does the 3rd team in the Big 12 have that same cachet? I don't think so.
Here's my hope.
I could be wrong. I don't think so.
Here's my hope that there are two teams, right, that sort of run through the conference like a hot knife through butter, right? Maybe accruing one loss, and then maybe one non-con loss, right? And then you get to the championship game, and both of those teams, regardless of who wins, get in. And then you have a team like Baylor, who maybe, let's say Baylor loses to either Auburn or SMU, and then loses one or two games during the regular season in the Big 12, they still maybe get in. I believe that could happen. I think there could be two teams with complete star power, right, that roll through the conference and the non-conference and are ranked in the top 10, top 15 that face off in the Big 12 title game. And then there's another one that squeezes in because of the notoriety and the accomplishment of the other two and a different perspective on the Big 12. I believe this conference really has what it takes to punch with some of the best in the country. And to what you say all the time, which you seem to have abandoned that right now, is that this is a very deep conference. Like you've always said, like the 8th team in the Big 12 is better than the 8th team in the SEC.
I do believe that, but I don't think Iowa State last year could have beaten any of those other teams in the playoff.
I agree, but that's last year. I think the conference is better this year. I really do, all the way around. I really believe that. And I don't think it's better to the point where it's going to be a slugfest and teams are going to beat the crap out of themselves. And I'm going to be on Inside the 12 every week talking about parity and close games. I think I'm going to be talking about, like, look at this, Texas Tech and let's say Arizona State, once again, ranked in the top 15. You know, they're both headed for, and then, you know, and they're moving up and up. I think that
here's just the unfortunate reality, though, Pete. It's not just about who's worthy to get in. It's who are you leaving out. In order for the Big 12 to get multiple teams, you're going to have a lot of the top SEC teams or the top Big 10 teams pull in Alabama last year. And by that, I mean you're going to need some of those teams to have 2 losses on their resume that they cannot explain. Bottom line with Alabama is a 3-loss Alabama might have gotten in last year. The problem is 2 of their losses were to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma had their worst season in 30 years, and Vanderbilt was Vanderbilt. And so, you know, you're going to need some of those teams to kind of like collapse, I think, if you're the Big 12. Because, it's not just about who's worthy to get in. It's you've got to convince this committee that the SEC doesn't deserve 4 teams, that the Big 10 doesn't deserve 3 to 4 teams. And the way that these preseason rankings are shaped up and just the perceptions, I don't see how you do that unless there's like 3 Alabamas this year that lose to bad teams.
Well, I agree, and I certainly agree with what you said about Oklahoma last year, and I would parlay that into this year. I think Oklahoma is totally overrated in that poll. I have major issue with that. I do not think Oklahoma. Has anybody looked at their schedule? Like, it is a meat grinder.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think they're gonna get 8 wins.
No, dude. I don't think they're going to get 6, man. And one thing that I found to be pretty interesting, I'm trying to find it here as I'm looking at my college football odds. Last night I was on odds to reach the college football playoff for these teams, right? And I was just surprised at who the odds makers think. Like, for instance, right? Like, if you say Alabama is going to get into the college football playoff, like, the odds makers pretty much agree with you. Like, you know, if you bet against Alabama getting into the college football playoff, like, you're not going to win a lot of money. The odds aren't in your favor. You know, like, the odds makers believe Alabama is going to be in. Obviously, the odds makers think Texas is going to be in. There's a lot of teams. Let me see another one. Utah is plus 400, so obviously they don't think they're. Ohio State, you know, they think they're going to be in. So it's interesting to see. I was surprised. I guess what I'm saying, that's a long way of saying I was surprised that Alabama is looked at as a team who is likely to get into the college football playoff under Kalen DeBoer in his second year. And it's still a ton of question marks around that program. And I'm never going to take away from the fact that I believe the SEC is the best conference in college football. And I think we get a little ahead of ourselves talking about some of these teams in the SEC going to the college football playoff, because I believe like in Oklahoma will just I just think they'll get smoked out by the rest of the really good teams in the conference. And I think that could happen to an Alabama as well. We just talked to Will Herring about Auburn. Auburn, they could be great and still end up 6-5, you know?
Right. But that perception is exactly why a 3-loss Alabama is more likely to get in than a 3-loss Texas Tech.
100%. I agree. I do.
Hey,
agree.
I'm going to change the subject. Going back to a conversation we had a couple weeks ago that I just cannot stop thinking about, Pete. I cannot stop thinking about this. There are 50 teams here on this graphic. I just took it off. Let me throw it up one more time. There are 50 teams here. There's the top 25, and then there's 25 that are amongst the others receiving votes. I just said the Big 12 has, I don't want to misspeak, nine teams in this top 50. The ACC has 7. For all your talk of how bad the ACC is, Pete, do you see that there's an ACC school that did not receive a vote, and that's North Carolina.
Oh, come on, dude.
North Carolina is not the 7th best ACC team, nor a top 50 team in America preseason. Why don't you go ahead and explain that one to me, buddy?
I'll explain that one to you. Bill Belichick, who I feel is at least the 2nd best coach in the ACC, is rebuilding. Like my first game of the season, okay?
I think you're going to buy me Diamondbacks.
Hold on. Yeah, I will. If I lose. Okay, our first game of the season, or my first game of the season, is Stephen F. Austin in Houston. So I've been like deep diving into this stuff. And a great example, honestly, on a little bit of a smaller level, but not really, is Willie Fritz. Willie Fritz has dominated wherever he's gone. I have it here. I wrote it down last night. He was, I'm going to get it. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to stick with this because I wrote it down. He was, I think, 24-3 in his last 2 years at Tulane. Okay. Like he started off with 2 wins, you know, like even this past year, Willie Fritz was terrible with Houston, right? A first year for, I don't care what kind of coach, you get a mulligan, dude. You absolutely 100% get a mulligan. So next year, if Bill Belichick and North Carolina is nowhere to be seen on the also receiving votes, then we can talk. I still think this year they're going to win more than, what was it again?
6 games.
Yes. Because by the way, I've been on this little like minor league baseball tour, like, you know, being on podcasts and radio shows, talking about the Big 12 and stuff. I have been like, any chance I get to throw a shot at the ACC, I am. Like, I don't know what's gotten into me, but like, I think it's because myself and my one of my best friends in the world, John Tobias, argued last year. JT works for ESPN. We argued last year all the time because he's from Winston-Salem. So he's from ACC country. Who's better, the Big 12 or the ACC? And like, it's not even a question. I think the ACC is bad. So I think any team, like, because here's where the ACC is ripe, because we saw it last year with SMU. Like a team like Pitt, right? Pitt was 7-0 last year. They just ran out of steam. If one of those teams can get going and like remain like undefeated against like a bullshit schedule, pardon my French, like they'll be considered for the college football playoff, even if they're not the team that wins the conference. Like you have the ACC getting 2 in.
I do.
By the way, Georgia Tech last night, I noticed this was, I think they're plus 450 to get in the playoff. So why don't you go ahead and put your money where your mouth is, dude, and and go ahead and punch a ticket there for your boy Brent Key to get to the college football playoff. You'll win some money.
I think I told you this, that
Maybe
Sawyer
I'll do
Robertson
it for you
plus,
so we can have some fun.
Yeah, let's do it. That Sawyer Robertson plus 6,600 to win the Heisman is still calling my name.
I bet it. I put $50 on it yesterday. The odds I got equal to like I'll win $2,400. So bring it on. Let's go.
I love it. There was one more thought I had when I was looking at this.
I got one more thought for you while I'm rolling.
Okay, go ahead.
People get pissed about Texas Tech and Texas A&M. I got news for you, okay? One of those 2 teams, guys, is going to pop this year. One of those 2 teams that people in Texas and around the Big 12 and the ACC, you guys always take dumps on Texas A&M and Texas Tech, right? Because they, especially Texas Tech now, has really entered this new zone where they're a bullseye, right? There's a bullseye on their back because of all the money. So people like to give them a lot of hard time, give them a hard time. I think one of those two is going to pop. Too much talent. Mike Elko is a great coach. Joey McGuire has shown that he is a motivator and a recruiter, and he knows how to delegate, which is the perfect formula, I think, for a successful coach at Texas A&M. One of those two teams is going to pop. Write it down, dude. And when I mean pop, I mean make to the college football playoff.
You want to make another bet?
Of course I do. I'm a degenerate. Yeah.
I bet you Baylor, who never receives the same love or hype as those two, has a better record than both when we're standing at the end of the season.
I don't want to do that because I like pulling for Baylor, so I'm not doing that.
Okay.
I don't want to bet against
I would
Baylor.
just argue 8-5 is not popping. I just want to put.
I agree. I agree.
Pop.
I mean pop to the college football playoff, and I'm not going to bet anything on that.
You did pick Texas Tech to make the playoff, so you're being consistent there.
I really believe. Look, here's my thing, and I do have a fear about Texas Tech, right? Like when you've got an offensive guard and an offensive tackle, I don't give a crap how much money they're making or how many stars they have. If these two dudes have never played together, and now you're trying to execute whether it's a trap play or a quarterback waggle or a spread offense draw, like there's got to be some symmetry, dude. There's got to be some chemistry. Like I don't care how many new bodies and studs you have on the offensive line. You only have a finite amount of time to get these dudes on the same page. And I think we have seen that in years past so far. In this new era of NIL and big money, I worry a little bit about that with Texas Tech specifically. Will they pass the chemistry test? They passed the recruiting test. They got to pass the chemistry test in order to get to the college football playoff. That is the biggest test for Texas Tech all year long.
Forgive me if I misquote this because I'm remembering off the dome. I think I saw that Joey McGuire also at Texas Tech currently is 1-6 versus top 25 opponents. So not only do they need to get that chemistry thing right, which I think is a tremendous point, but Joey's got to figure out how to close those big games. And I'm a Joey McGuire believer.
Yeah, me too.
Some who follow me for a while know there are days I've said Baylor should have hired him as our head coach, so I'm a believer. But he's got to overcome that monster too. Here's what I was going to say before we go, Pete. I am not ready to put money on this, but I do have a strong conviction about something. I already said at the top, the statistics say that one of these teams ranked 2 through 6 will win the national championship this year. I think it's Clemson. I think for all of your smack talk about the ACC, I think Clemson has a top 2 coach in the sport, and I think it's very likely they have a top 2 quarterback in the sport. I think Clemson might win the Natty.
Well, I
what
disagree.
Say you?
I disagree. I don't think Clemson. No, I don't. I think they'll maybe make the playoff. I don't see them winning a national championship. I don't.
It's fair. It's fair. I really believe in that quarterback, Texas kid. So
we're gonna end the show with a Joey McGuire tribute. Right? I listened to one of these Texas Tech podcasts if I'm doing a Texas Tech football or basketball game, and it's great. It opens up with Joey McGuire, just his quote in the locker room. I think after his first year, when he screams, "Everything runs through Lubbock." Right there, you go. So that's my Joey McGuire. I got a colonoscopy tomorrow. So, Scotty, it's all you, okay? And I'll be back on Thursday. Thank you to Slovacics. Thank you guys for being a part of this. My man, Chris Visser, who helps us out with the show, wants me to call you guys Pete's Posse. I don't think that is something I'm comfortable with because that would be taking – I don't have a posse. I'm trying to keep it together over here. I'm trying to keep the dog and the cat in line, okay? But no, we'll figure something out. Where we can continue to move the needle here. The Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovacics will be back tomorrow. We'll be live, and it'll be Scotty, and I guarantee it'll be interesting. I'll see you Thursday. He'll see you tomorrow.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is Stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.